and welcome to the match day preview show on Back of the Net. My name's Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
And we're here at the Pear in Parley. We were here yesterday for the away day review, mate. It's getting all too regular, isn't it?
It is. What a shame, eh? Nah, it's a nice place to keep coming back to, innit? And that's why we do it. So yeah, check it out if you haven't already. I'm sure you've seen the previous videos. It's just lovely, isn't it? Outside, inside, it's a really nice pub.
Yeah, really good. Check out the link in the description below. Great food, great drinks, and in the sunshine, no better place to be. So if you haven't come across this channel before, we are the home of AFC Bournemouth and EFL content on YouTube. Therefore, if you haven't done so, there's something that you can do.
Hit the big fat red subscribe button. Do it, because there's loads of content in there, Sam, like we were saying. It's like virtually every day, isn't it? We get something out. So yeah, no, honestly, really appreciate it. And like you say, we do all EFL content, talk about football, talk about away games, talk about all sorts. So do it, we really appreciate it.
And look, if you're a Huddersfield fan, we'll be uploading our fans' views right after the final whistle, so you can subscribe to see some of our raw reactions. If you're a casual passerby, you might want to gleefully observe our pleasure and pain that we seem to be alternating on a weekly basis in our hunt for promotion, mate. It's getting all too regular, rinse and repeat, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a weird feeling. We've said it before. It's a really weird feeling because people on the outside go, "Why are they so miserable? They're second." And I'm like that. I moan, and then I go look at the league table and go, "Why am I moaning? I'm so entitled." But all I can do is give my opinion on what we're seeing on the pitch, mate, and it's quite tough to watch.
Subscribing is free and it's only a click away as well. And also, if you've got your YouTube subscriptions hidden, we don't know that you subscribe, because if you're a fan of another club and you're worried about people knowing that you've subscribed to us, don't worry, they won't know.
All a secret.
And the good thing is, after you've subscribed, our world famous match day vlogs will appear on your YouTube homepage on the day after every single Cherries game. And it's really interesting to see so many different fans of other clubs actually watching our vlogs and watching our content. There are a lot of casual observers just watching this journey that we're going on, mate, and it's reaching squeaky bum time, isn't it?
Yeah, we can see you, Fulham fans, by the way. But no, I like it. I like it, and you get different opinions, don't you? Whether it's, as I mentioned there, Fulham fans saying this is what you should expect with Scott Parker. Obviously, they've had him and know that too well. Or if it's just other fans saying, they're enjoying watching what we're doing or enjoying the journey and seeing where Bournemouth are and seeing what the opinions are. But yeah, it's at the moment it's a real weird feeling. It's a real weird feeling because as I mentioned, we're all right in the league, and again results go our way every single game week, which I suppose is part and parcel of the Championship. I appreciate that. Probably Fulham aside. I know even they drop points in the week, didn't they? But everyone seems to be able to beat everyone. But it just seems to be going so nicely for us. I mean, I think since Christmas our form's like 14th in the league, but we haven't moved from second really. Maybe the odd day. So yeah, it's crazy. We've got the points on the board. We've got games in hand, but at the moment, them games in hand are dwindling down, and we are already going in one direction off the last few performances. So it needs to be addressed quickly, but because of the other results going our way, it's given us that little bit of right. If we react now, every game it feels like, but if we react next game, we'll be fine. If we react, so we're getting away with it a little bit, but let's just get the job done, mate.
Let's just get the job done. So as ever, this is the place you need to be to get all the details ahead of our trip to the John Smith's Stadium. And here is what else is coming up on the show. So myself and Tom are going to take a look back at that 1-1 draw versus Reading. Unfortunately, we have to, but we'll try to detangle what went wrong and what we need to put right. We've also got details of Parker's presser, including all the team news and injury updates. We'll have a few players back for Saturday's game. That's exciting, isn't it? We've got the opposition info as well, all about the Terriers, our team that we're playing against, the players to watch and all that jazz. That's coming up too. We've got the pubs and predictions, our predictions, and also if you're going up north this weekend, or maybe I think Duncan Spokes has got just a 9-mile trip. Lucky for him. We'll tell you whereabouts to have a drink before the game, and also we'll go through our chosen 11 as well.
Can I just say the chosen 11 last 3 games, 11 out of 11, 10 out of 11, 11 out of 11. So this is where you watch it, all right?
This is where you watch it. So, Tom, we need to somehow avoid sounding like a stuck record here. It was a week ago that we were sat here in one of the woodland dining huts and we were trying to work out what is not quite clicking for the Cherries. And then We had that better performance on the Saturday against Derby, and here we are again doing the same thing. It's repetitive, isn't it?
It does, and like you say, I do feel like a broken record at times, but and sometimes I think about it when we do these shows, and I think, do I need to, step back a little bit, look at the league table, and try and be a bit more positive and kind of think, you know what, we're doing the remit at the moment, we've got to get behind the boys, etc., etc. But I feel like I want to just be honest. I think that's what it's all about. I think, let us know in the comments, but I think people appreciate the fact that we're just talking honestly. We've got no agenda. We're not, do you know what I mean? We're not trying to do anything. We're going to be there supporting the team. We go to every game, and we could be there cheering them on before the whistle on Saturday. But at the moment, I can't enjoy it. I cannot enjoy it. In the week against Reading, I literally was sat there, first half waiting, was it acceptable to go down now? Yep. At the end of the game, I've never been out so quickly. I can't. It's so bad to watch. I said to my dad, you watch the game? Because he always watches it, when it's available, which it was on Tuesday. He said, not after the last few, I couldn't be bothered. And that's what it's getting like now. I saw someone tweet, sorry if they're watching, I can't remember who it was, but tweeted something about, it's the first time they've realised that now they look at the time and think, I need to miss the traffic. That's their priority, when it's never been before. Yeah. It's just so dull. And I think at the start of the season, maybe it wasn't thrilling, but you can get away with it when it's dull, but you're getting the job done. You think, he's making the right changes. It's boring, but we know exactly what we're doing to get the win. Yeah. We're not doing that at the moment because we've won 1 of our last 4. It's just not good enough. And against opposition, that, no disrespect, the players we've got on the pitch, we should be just... I mean, I've made a car analogy on here before, didn't I, about the Ferrari. I'll make another one. So if I've got to get from here to the end of the road... I'll get there with the handbrake on. It'll take me a while, but I will get there, so I'll get the job done. But if I just release that handbrake, I'll get there so much quicker. And for the life of me, I can't understand, with a squad with Philip Billing, Todd Cantwell, Ryan Christie, Dom Solanke, Sariki Dembele, Jane Nantley, them sort of players, we're playing in a way that we feel like we have to be conservative, we have to be careful, we have to look out for the opposition. I just don't get it. We'll probably come on to kind of the subs and the way we try and manage games. And I'm getting to a point where normally I'm kind of I can see what he's trying to do, whether I agree or not, but I just don't get it.
The thrill and the excitement, I've got to say, apart from these moments that are few and far between, I mean, we'll talk about the goal, I'm sure, at some point in the next 20 minutes or so, because that was a really nice moment. But aside from that, really struggling to think of anything that got my pulse raising. The only thing that gets my pulse raising is seeing these other results, seeing the league table and thinking, how are we where we are? We're in a better position than what we were before the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It's crazy, but you almost feel like, when we don't play, it's a good night, isn't it? I mean, by the way, thank you, Benic-ophobia. I've always liked
Benic. What a player. I mean, they did us a favour. What was it, 2-0 in the end?
2-0 against Huddersfield, who we've got coming up. So that was big, because I thought, I don't want them coming into it bouncing. I want them to be a little bit fragile.
So question is, and Sam Summers put this on Twitter with I thought was a very good point, is, are we being lucky? Or have we just forgotten what the Championship is like? Because one of the stats that really intrigued me, we're on more points at this stage than we were in our Championship promotion season in 2014-15. What?
I know. How many games have we got left of the season? We've got
12, is it?
Yeah, okay, so...
Or maybe 11 now.
I'm pretty sure someone will let me know the exact numbers without looking. In that season, 2014-15, I think we went the last 13 games unbeaten, won most of them. So it was a real good end to the season, wasn't it? But that's what the Championship's like. You can look at it loads of different ways, because I think last season... I think Jacob Townswell might have put something out. I think 5 teams would have been above Huddersfield at this point. So I think, just comparing to the last season, I think it's definitely more competitive this season. I think Norwich and Watford in particular were very strong, as well as Brentford and ourselves at times. And I think they both went up with over 90 points. Well, this season, I reckon we could go up in second with about 82. Yeah. Like 10 points less than what went up last season. So, but it is competitive, and that's where that's where I definitely look at certain games and go, let's not just go, oh, it's only Preston, oh, it's only Peterborough, because these teams are good football teams. Everyone is in the league,
and we know that everyone can beat everyone,
of
and
course.
They invariably do.
Of course, it's just more the way we're going about these games. If you have a game and you go head to toe with your Prestons, your Peterboroughs, your Readings, and you go toe to toe with them, and they have a really good performance, they give it to you, I would have my hands up and go, they perform really well today, and teams like this can do that. But I just feel like, and I think a lot of fans feel like, we're playing into everyone's hands. I don't get it. Yeah. You mentioned there about the goal. I mean, the first 20 minutes is so easy. Yeah. And then we go, right, we've got someone to hang on to. Everyone back. And I don't get it.
Do you think it's a case with Scott Parker, 1-0 up, if it ain't broke, you don't need to fix anything? But then, as soon as it was broken, he felt as though he had to fix it pretty quickly by bringing on Dembele.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but then I think at 1-0, he took off our best player on the pitch, Lewis Cook, and brought on a more defensive-minded midfield player when we were leading. So he did decide to change it. He'd done the same at Preston at 1-1. He decided to take off an attacking player and bring on a defensive player. So he's very conservative, very safe. He does seem to... He's the type of manager that likes to hang on to what you've got. I just don't think... And if you had the players to do that, I would get it. I don't think it suits us. I think we've seen on too many occasions this season that when we try and hang on to something, it doesn't work. We literally saw it a few weeks ago at Preston, and then we've tried to do the same thing again.
Yeah.
And what's that saying about you keep doing the same thing? That's a side of being mad. I just don't understand it. He's doing the same things that failed before. I think our best form of defence is attack with the players we've got. I think you get people like Dom Solanke, Ryan Christie run at their defence. I mean, they ain't going to cope. No. But we just sit off them, and then it goes, oh, actually, these players are good, but they're not actually putting us under anything. We can get up the pitch a little bit more. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes I just don't think that it's the opposition playing really well or up in their game. I think it's us going, come on then, we invite them on, and we give them the impetus to go and get something out of the game. Whereas I feel like if we keep playing how in the last game, for example, against Reading, if we were still having that intensity and that urgency like we did against Derby, then they can't come at us because we're too good. I've always said it, Man City, for example, in the Premier League, apart from when they play Liverpool, when they might have to adapt a little bit, you can go the same with Celtic, apart from when they play Rangers, they will go against every team and go, go on then, we'll go toe-to-toe here. 11v11, try and beat us because we've got better players. And I don't get why we don't do that. We look at the opposition and go, oh, let's try and do this. We've got better players than everyone in this league. And you could argue Fulham is the only argument you can make. So yeah, it's confusing me. I wish I could just understand the thought process sometimes. I mean,
it feels like to me, right? Do you know when you're driving? And
we love a car analogy, don't we?
I do. When you're driving in sort of rush hour traffic, and do you ever have it where you're just in your own world, and then after about 20 minutes you think, how the hell did I get here? Yeah. And that's seemingly what we do. Look, if you're trying to control the game, you're surely more likely to have mental lapses because, when you're in that zone of trying to maintain a 1-0 lead, it's almost the same as when you're driving and you're not mentally at the top of your game. You're not looking for ways to attack. You're finding these through balls. You're just playing it safe every time. And at that point in time, it's more likely that these mistakes are going to happen. And you'll have that shunt. Yeah. And we had that shunt in the 80 whatever minute it was with a cracking strike. But sometimes I just feel as though we have these mental lapses, and there are individual moments as well. Like Lloyd Kelly has come in for a lot of criticism on Twitter this week in terms of his performance versus Reading, and there are a number of others that probably weren't as good as they should be as well. And I just wonder, why does control have to be sitting back? Why can't you can control a game by scoring more goals? Yeah, because that's what you were doing. That's still controlling it. Why?
Yeah, controlling the game is not being 1-0 up, being comfortable and letting them back into the game by not going for the throat and getting the second. How's that? I don't understand how that's control. And Scott Parker talks a lot about control, doesn't he? And I think I've mentioned similar things in the past, but I had a little look back because I thought, I'm sure, when you see things on the eye test and then you think, I want to look at the stats, see if I'm right. And for rarity, I was. Yeah. I looked at it, and last few games, for example, so Preston, we lost the game at Preston. We had more possession than them, so we had more control of the football. Against Peterborough, we had more possession than them. We had control of the football, and we drew that game. Against Derby, the one sandwiched in the middle, we had less possession. We won the game. Our biggest win of the season, Swansea, 4-0. We had 40% possession, they had 60.
So the control thing is a flawed...
Well, it just... What I don't understand is if... Surely, I've just looked at a few stats. Surely if you're Scott Parker and you're the staff, you're looking at that and go, tell you what, our biggest win of the season was when we had our least possession. So they had 60% of the ball, lost 4-0, Swansea. Swansea are a very possession-based team with Russell Martin in there. Yeah. We saw that with MK Dons when we beat him 5-0 when he was in charge. He's that sort of manager, and I get that. Certain teams like to play like that. But Swansea ain't doing very well this season. No. It's not. You've got to do something with it. If you have all the ball and you do stuff with it, then happy days. But sometimes you can't have the best of both worlds, and you've got to look at what's working for you. And that's what I don't get, because when we're having more possession, it's not necessarily making us better and win more football matches. And literally the stats tell us that when we have less possession, we're more lethal.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the thought process. And that's the best way to put it in black and white. Our biggest win was our least possession. And that says it all for me, because I feel like if we're letting teams come onto us and then breaking on them, the players we've got will kill teams. They'll absolutely kill teams. And it's weird. And I remember thinking against Reading when we scored earlier, early goal, that's just what we needed. And a few people around me said, yeah, but that might mean we got more time to defend and just hang on to it, and then they're going to eventually score. And it's ended up happening. So now I'm feeling like, do I want an early goal? But then I don't know what I want. I ain't got a clue. I'm just hoping that the quality on the pitch is just getting us over the line. That's all I'm thinking every week.
So I mentioned Lloyd Kelly there, and there was a really interesting quote on Vitals Forum. I think it was from Steve Jones Legend, and he said, Kelly's been the root of our problems for the last 3 games. So slow and too casual in possession. How many times does he get the ball, run 10 yards forward and then check back to play a sideways pass or even back to the keeper, at which point the opposition is set? He needs to be dropped. There are simply no excuses for that second half performance. Would he drop Lloyd Kelly?
No.
He wouldn't, would he?
No, not a chance.
But then we both know that Lloyd Kelly generally performed better with Cahill.
He did.
But then Nat Phillips's performance was very good.
I thought he was probably one of the best players on the pitch.
So, do you change the combination or not, or what?
I mean, he definitely won't, in my opinion. I'll be absolutely shocked if he does. I appreciate, if you look at it in that way, you kind of go, well, a player off form deserves to be dropped. Why shouldn't he? Just because he's the skipper. I will caveat and say I thought at the start of the season he was brilliant. He was very reliable for us.
Absolutely.
It's been very recent, and I think I've said this in the past as well, but I think the reason Lloyd Kelly is so crucial is he's the only we've got so many centre halves. He's the only one we got that's got pace.
Well, there was a moment from the Ted Mack, it was clear as day. I don't know if you saw it from the North Stand, but we were kicking towards the North Stand, so it must have been in the second half, and Lloyd Kelly just basically opens up his leg and strides, and he won a ball that he had no right to win. It was about 10 yards away from his attacker. It was about 20 yards away from him, seemingly. He won the ball easily. Yeah. So when you've got that, you can't not play him.
No, I think we would, and don't get me wrong, I appreciate that he's been right off form, and you could definitely make a good case, a good argument for him being dropped. But I think if you were to see, say, a Nat Phillips, Gary Cahill, Meps, whoever you want to talk about, we haven't seen enough James Hill to comment really, in at centre half, I think you would notice the lack of pace there, and we might get caught a little bit. Having said that, he's been absolutely shocking recently. You don't want to single a player out, but I think when he's a skipper as well, you think it's going to be highlighted more, because you think you're the guy that's supposed to be leading us. And there was a few times in that game I was turning to my mate and I said, Travis getting the ball, one touch out to Phillips, straight out to Stacey, back to Phillips, then it goes to Kelly, and then he takes about 12 touches. I don't get it. And you think, and a lot of the time I think, I know he's going to pass to Zamora, but why is it taking him a minute to do it? And if he doesn't do that, he's just going to kick it aimlessly. And there was a start of the season, I felt he was putting some nice balls into the channel for Don, but now it looks a bit aimless when he kicks it. And he's certainly doesn't look right. Is he, even though he had the armband, when he was with Cahill, did he feel like kind of the one that, I think you mentioned it prior, Cahill was the one organised and he could just get on with his game. Does he now feel like, I've got a young, Nat Phillips has got great experience, he's played in Champions Leagues, but he's a young player and a new player to the club, and does he suddenly feel like, he's got Zamora next to him on the other side who's a very young first season, does he suddenly feel a bit of weight expectation on him, and he's struggling with that because he certainly hasn't been right lately. As I say, I will say that he does get us out of trouble because of his pace, and if anyone at the back was going to make an error, I'd want it to be him because he can recover because of his pace. But he has been lethargic, lazy with the way he's playing. He's wandering about, and I think that never looks good because Billing gets a lot of criticism for it as well. You look a bit laboured.
Do you think it's indicative of how this season's gone, that come 46 games, we can look back and probably find it really difficult to name our best 11, barring maybe 3, maybe 4 players: Travers, Solanke, Lerma, of course. But if we'd have done that in 2014-15, we'd have had that 11 pretty much bang on, apart from maybe
Pittman.
But this season, and I wouldn't have a clue, which is probably that just emphasises the fact that we've had no consistency.
Yeah, no, definitely, that's definitely a point. I think 2 kind of varying points are also one, that we've got a very big squad. A miles bigger squad than we had in that 14-15 season. And when you have a big squad like that, I think Tyndall suffered with it. You tend to over-rotate because you feel like you can, and you want to keep people happy. And you've got people on big wages that ain't making the squad one week, so you want to get them in and get them playing. And also the fact that in that 14-15 season we didn't have any injuries. We have had a few this season, which obviously, at the end of the day, whether it was an actual significant injury or not, there's no doubt in my mind that the reason Gary Cahill come out was because he started a bit of wear and tear with his age, which I think was always going to happen. And we wouldn't have signed Nat Phillips if Cahill was playing like he was at the start of the season and looking fine. So there's loads of variations and reasons for it, but I think there's a lot to be said about a consistent side that play where you can name the team virtually. The amount of times we've come on here and gone, oh, he could play there, and sometimes I think a bit of a balance, developing partnerships, really does help. We saw at the start of the season because we had no options. Zamora and Anthony's partnership was like all we were talking about.
Yeah, really good.
And then when you start getting into it, they have one bad game. You go, we've got to split it up. Let's play Dembele. Let's do it. And we do it as a fan base as well because we've got the options. So yeah, but I do think a bit. Lloyd Kelly has probably played with. God, how many centre halves he played with? Because he's played. I think he might have even played with Steve Cook at one point. Maybe not, because I think he come out. He's played with Cahill. He's played with Ibsen Rossi. He's played with Mepham.
We know there are a lot of defensive combinations. Which it's. That second half I found a really, really hard watch. I mean, we switched off halfway through the first half, but questionable substitutions. I think Parker's explained why Cantwell was taken off. We'll talk about that a bit later, but maybe he was protecting him because he had a booking. But in the second half, Reading had more possession, more dribbles, won more tackles, were dispossessed fewer times. You wouldn't have known which was you would have thought that they were like top of the league rather than us. They looked really good, but we're making them look good.
That's the thing, we're sitting off them, as I mentioned earlier, we're sitting off them and making them look better than they are. And don't get me wrong, Reading earned the point. If there's any Reading fans watching, you were a lot better than I thought you would be. Yeah. And you got your key players into the game really well, I thought. But there's no doubt about it, that kind of first 20 minutes, say, Reading never would have felt like they were going to get something out of that game, and we allowed them to come onto us. And they did have players, as we say in the Championship, every team's got players that can hurt you. It's a good league. Just don't, but we shouldn't be allowing teams to make it that comfortable to get them players into the game. And obviously the goals are worldy, but Tom Ince's got a load of room there, and they probably should have scored before that. They had a lot of the ball, and I mean, we looked like I just couldn't believe that second half that we were just sat off and letting them dictate the game.
Do you think it's a lack of, why would you, Pearson's a brilliant player, but Pearson's got a job, and he does that job well, on the whole. Pearson came on for Lewis Cook. When you're looking for players to praise after that, many people said Lewis Cook, and there were a few others that said Nat Phillips. You're taking off your best player and you're putting on a player who's defensively minded. Lewis Cook was driving forward with his runs at times and looked really good. We know how creative he is as well. Is it lack of self-confidence from Parker that means we have to take Lewis Cook off? I mean, is he not confident that we can do a job with him on the pitch? Like, why do we have to shore things up? Because
I've been trying to think about it.
Do you think he underestimates the talent that we got, or can't see it?
Yeah, maybe. I kind of looked at it and thought they had a lot of the ball, as we've mentioned loads, and it was all about off the ball stuff. And maybe, Ben Pearson is probably one of our best midfielders off the ball because he's nitty and gritty. I just think it sends out a wrong message. I think it done it at Preston. If you're playing on the opposition, you look over and think
they're going to smell blood, aren't they?
They're going to think he's the player that we're really struggling to cope with when he gets hold of the ball. Lewis Cook, he's driving forward, he's taking it around us, he's driving them on. They're now bringing him off and getting a player there that just wants to try and win the ball back. They're scared.
Like, you can see it in, I'm not going to use a car analogy, but you can see it in darts actually, when your opponent is having a bit of a wobble. And then, players like Gerwyn Price or Michael Van Gerwen are going to smell blood, and they will absolutely dominate from there on in. And that's invariably what Reading did. So
you take advantage of vulnerability, don't you?
It does send out the wrong message, and it's like we should be completely confident in our abilities, but we seemingly are not. And that's one thing that I don't sort of really get. And it's almost it's a pessimism rather than an optimism, and that's the thing. As Bournemouth fans, we're sort of used to being risky and brave that we're just not seeing anymore, and that's a real shame. It's almost like he doesn't trust the players to be able to do a job.
It feels a bit like that, and as you say, I feel like we're giving the opposition that smelling the blood type thing. We're letting them take advantage of our vulnerability, and they're always going to do that. I watched a game the other night. There was Liverpool Arsenal, really good football match. Obviously, two really good teams, and early on, I think Martinelli for Arsenal just rinsed Trent.
Oh yeah,
and then they just kept doing it because that's what you do, because you go, well, tell you what, he's got him on toast tonight, he's scared, so you just keep doing it. And what we're doing is just allowing teams, we're coming out the second half, sitting back and letting them have the ball, and they're going, oh, that's all right, then we'll keep moving the ball, because they're letting us.
We're doing the same thing week in, week out, thinking it's working, but it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, it's just that
so why keep doing it? It's insanity, like you said.
Because other teams in the league keep mucking up anyway. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because we didn't lose the game. We didn't lose the game, but we shouldn't be. This is what I feel like the mindset is. I do feel like at the moment, because of results going our way all the time, and because everyone could beat everyone, I genuinely believe, deep down, Scott Parker comes out of that game and goes, another point. I genuinely believe that. At home to Rennes, at home to Peterborough, I think he thinks it's 1 point extra. Because then Huddersfield lose the next day, so it is a point gained. So, and
it could have been wrapped up.
I know it could have.
Ago.
I know it could have. But I think the prime example was away at Preston. We're 1-1. We played a team that hadn't won at home in 3 months, and he made a defensive change because he thought, let's get out with a point.
Yeah.
And I just think he would, because at the end of the day, if we drew every game now, we'd probably go up, mate.
Do you think he overpraised Reading in his? I mean, we'll hear what some of his quotes very shortly on the show. But he said they're a good side. They got some good individuals on their day, but they haven't been a good side all season.
I mean, everyone keeps telling me when I do criticism, like we've mentioned, that you got to look at the league table, and that's their kind of comeback at me. Well, I'll say to Scott then, if they're that good a side, go and look at the league table, because they ain't. They really ain't. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they didn't do well on the day, and they deserve the point, because they did, and they went about their job really well when we let them onto us. But you can't tell me Reading are a good side. They are not a good side, and I still think they're in big danger of going down. If I had to put money on it, I think they might actually go.
Yeah.
Because I think Barnes have started picking up a little bit, and Derby have got that siege mentality. So yeah, I don't think they're a good side at all. I think we made them look better than they are. I think there's a few teams like that, and the fact that Paul Ince come out after the game and was disappointed.
Well, that says it all. Paul Ince as well.
Grant McCann come out after the Peterborough game, was disappointed that they've got to draw. I mean, all I've got to say is Hull and Peterborough. Hull, we haven't scored a goal against Hull this season. We haven't scored a goal against them. Peterborough, we scored 1. We haven't beaten either of them.
But Tom,
yeah.
Scott Parker he's being looked at by Real Madrid.
Sorry?
Well, have you seen that?
No.
Have you seen the goal that we scored at Fulham? Have you not seen that tweet that's going around?
Yeah, I've seen the goal we scored at Fulham, yeah.
Yeah. And then
I mean, I didn't
Real
see it at the
Madrid,
time, I was having a beer, but...
Real Madrid tried that exact same thing against PSG. The exact same thing. We're being watched by Real. The exact same combinations from kick-off, the pass backwards, forward again, backwards, a long ball forward. We
brilliant.
did it.
That was brilliant.
And they didn't.
And that was absolutely brilliant. And we were saying at the time, that's genius. Absolute genius. Eddie used to do it from corners, didn't he? Like,
Yeah.
we said, brilliant. And I love that we've got that in our locker. But we do that. And what happened in that game? Because if you're Real Madrid, you watch that and you go, what a goal that is. This team are good. And then you watch us sit back for the rest of the game and end up seeing the late goal. So, but yeah, that was a great one. Nice to reminisce that, actually.
If you haven't seen the tweet, Tom hadn't.
No.
Which I'm surprised by.
Well, I don't know.
I'll put the card at the top. There it is, because that will show you what I'm talking about. So then, let's talk about the match at the weekend against Huddersfield. A promotion 6-pointer, maybe? Well, after having 3 games on the bounce at home against 3 teams in the bottom 4, Bournemouth have taken 5 points out of a possible 9. I mean, it's over 50%. Look on the positive side. We got the lion's share of points, mate, didn't we?
We did.
That's some good PR spin. But the latest game, as we know, was a disappointing 1-1. So, next then, we're up to Yorkshire, the home of Huddersfield Town. It's a Saturday, it's a 3 p.m. Our last 2 visits to play Huddersfield were fruitful for the Cherries as they came back with 6 points. Can they do it again? Let's hear what Scott Parker had to say in his presser. So, Scott Parker's going to be on the bench. Thank God for that, mate. I mean, Matt Wells did a cracking job, but he was being radioed down. But we'll have Scotty there. We'll all get behind him, and hopefully he'll inspire the lads to 3 points. So, at the bottom of your screen, you can see what he said in his presser on Thursday, but he was also in the media earlier this week speaking to BBC Radio Solent and also Tom Crocker from The Echo, where he said, "I did not enjoy one bit of Tuesday night, really. It wasn't great. Whether we'd have won, lost or drawn, the experience wasn't good in that sense, because obviously you're not part of it. You don't feel like you can really influence it as much. So it was frustrating, but it is what it is." He said that his team looked flat, and he said hindsight is an amazing thing, and whether he'll look to change the starting 11, he said maybe, yeah, of course. We've come off a positive result and positive performance the other day, and that's something we need to look at really in terms of that and teams working it out. I'm sort of looking at these quotes thinking I've seen these before.
Yeah, I've seen these before. A weird positive for me is that he's admitted that it wasn't good enough, we weren't very good, he didn't enjoy it. I was worried that he'd come out and kind of say, you know, it's a screamer at the end and we deserve to win the game. He
says it's something we really need to look at. He said that a lot as well, and it feels like they're not looking at it because it's the same things are happening time and time again.
Yeah, I do wonder if he's kind of alluding to the fact that sometimes we maybe over-rotated and then we done well and we didn't change much. He's thinking, he mentioned fatigue, didn't he? And where he's thinking, should I have rotated? But I think that comes part and parcel of having a really good squad. We've got a really good squad. There's certain teams in this league, Huddersfield are probably one of them, they can't make too many changes because they ain't got the squad depth we have. So that causes kind of good problems, I guess, for Scott, and that's his job to try and work it out. And yeah, I do, but I am glad that he looked at that game and thought we weren't right, because it was clear as day, and it would have been more head scratching if he had felt that we'd done okay. But yeah, I think what's difficult is when you see a certain way we're playing, you see it change drastically in that second half, and you think, why? Yeah. And I don't really know why, and Scott seems to be saying that he doesn't really know why. Yeah. So and don't get me wrong, we're talking a lot about Scott Parker and tactics and things like that, but players have got to look at themselves as well. They're on that pitch, and I just don't think the urgency levels that they gave against Derby for some reason wasn't there. Is that fatigue? Perhaps, but you know, it's same for every team, and it should be easier for us because we've got the bigger squad.
Yeah, agreed. He said we were a little bit slow with the ball, we just lacked that precision. Poor on the regain in terms of them finding the next pass. The amount of turnovers we had tonight, we were just a little bit sloppy in general, and our all-round game, and we just needed to look at that really, or we need to look at that. So yeah, he also explained the Cantwell change as well, saying it was tactical. I just felt we could freshen it up. Obviously Jamal's been in very good form. I just felt the game was slipping away from us at that point. I didn't like us too much at the back end of that half really, so I just tried to be a bit proactive on that, so that's why it was.
Don't get me wrong, he can say what he wants. He took Cantwell off because he was on the yellow card and made a foul afterwards. Yeah. And he was one foul away, one little nick away from getting a second booking.
I didn't think the Todd had a great game. Really.
No, and I'm not going to argue with that substitution at all. I'm not going to argue that at all. But equally, Scott Parker's not going to come out and say that my player was going to get sent off. I didn't take him off. So I appreciate that, and I just didn't think it was the. I do get, this is one of them things I do get, because Jamal Lowe has been on good form. So, you know, if he didn't have brought Lowe on, would I have been saying he should have brought Lowe on? Maybe. So, as you say, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I just felt Christie was looking alright. I don't feel you need to take Todd Cantwell off, but don't change Christie's position, because he was doing alright. So, and we had Marcondes on the bench. Yeah. So, yeah, I felt like, take Todd off, he's on a yellow, he's not playing great, he's one tackle away from being sent off. Bring on a like-for-like change in Marcondes. Don't change the style that we're playing at. We're 1-0 up. That was my only bugbear with it. I was surprised it was Lowe. But having said that, I do appreciate the point that Lowe has been on good form. So maybe that tempts you a little bit more to bring him on, because he brought him on against Derby and it worked. So I'm not too worried about that change. It was the latter change that was the problem, as we've talked about.
Dom Solanke was also on AFCB TV talking about the performance, and he said we went into protective mode and we didn't quite manage to grind out the win. We really want to win games at the moment, so the natural instinct when they were applying a bit of pressure, we didn't just manage to get control of the game again, and we slipped up at the final moment. So look, players know that it's not quite right. We just like to see that consistency yet again. I mean, I would take a win however it comes, but I can't really remember the last sort of decent performance. I mean, apart from Derby, Birmingham was all right, wasn't it? That 3-1.
Yeah, and
they were down to 10 men.
I said before, I don't want to be overly negative, but I said to you after, because everyone was, I think because of how poor Preston and Peterborough were, I feel like everyone got a little bit ahead of themselves after Derby, and everyone thought, oh, that's better, it's a relief. We were a bit better, but I would like to make the point that they should have been 1-0 up. They should have had a penalty, a stonewall penalty, and they'd have been 1-0 up. Could have changed the game. Could have changed the game. Leif Davis was getting murdered, and if he didn't get injured, Zamora might not have come on and sorted it out. So, and the game before that, where we won was Stoke, and they had a player sent off, never sent it off.
Yeah.
So I do feel I was kind of a little bit like, you've got to appreciate we were better, but I thought we also did get the rub of the green. You do need the rub of the green in football matches. We had it in 14-15, we barely got an injury. You need the rub of the green. I just felt like it was better. I felt Derby played into our hands because they've got a philosophy where they try and play out from the back, and that invited us onto them. And he made a really good change in that game, in my opinion. He brought low on in that game, and because you could see that we could get them. So it was definitely better. But I don't think it was fantastic. The last game I felt like we actually played well was Birmingham until Lerma sent it off. And that game, we were 2-0 up. I appreciated why we had to sit back a little bit there because we went down to 10 men. But before that Lerma sending it off, I thought we were very good. So that was the last one. Since then, not been very good. But I'm with you, mate. I'm moaning about it. But I'm going, we're so close to the end now. Should we just see it through? Let's just get over the bloody line, shall we? But massive football match with Huddersfield. Massive football match.
Absolutely huge. Look, Lerma, who we just mentioned, is going to have his partner in crime back. Will he start, though? Phil Bill playing against his old side, Huddersfield. Also, Adam Smith will be available as well after serving the suspension. Wouldn't be surprised if they both started after our side played 3 games in a week. And look, they've got the nous and they've got the experience. So maybe they'll be straight in. We'll ask Tom what his chosen 11 is later in the show. Leif Davis, his injury is not serious according to Scott Parker, but there is no mention as to whether he will be back on Saturday. Player to watch, of course, if you're a Huddersfield fan, I mean, it's going to be Dom Solanke in it. I mean, let's just chat about that goal. That was a real bright moment in what was an otherwise tawdry game, and lovely bit of interplay with Todd Cantwell just putting in Solanke, fed Lerma, and just almost like a kind of psychic combination between those two. Lovely little pirouetted sort of back heel
Jeff
from your man, and then it was an easy pass for Dom Solanke into the goal. I mean, bright moment.
Yeah, really, really nice moment, and that was the type of thing you want to see more of, because we can do that, little triangles, little patterns of play. We've got clever footballers, and when Dom gets hold of the ball, you always feel like something could happen. Sometimes just feel like it's like he's got to do it all on his own. So it was really nice that Jeff, probably not naturally for him, but with Lewis playing well in that role, getting forward a little bit more. Yeah. He just showing there with that assist that he can do it. He can do that role because he has got the legs, he has got the energy. But yeah, Dom's certainly the player to watch. We've desperately needed his goals this season, and I'll tell you what, we're so lucky he hasn't got injured. Yeah. Touch wood, he doesn't. And the other one I'll say for Huddersfield, because that's an obvious one, is probably Ryan Christie. I think Ryan Christie goes under the radar a little bit. I think he's a clever footballer, and he can open the odd door now and again that is vital to us from that right hand side, and can come inside quite naturally, can't he? So yeah, there are a few players to watch, and you're gonna have to do some beating to get past Mark Travers because he's hell of a keeper.
Hell of a keeper, right? Shall we find out about the team we're playing?
Yeah, right.
Well, you know what, mate? It's got a little bit parky, mate. I've had to put my coat on.
God, I might take mine off now just to add. No, I won't. It has got a little bit nippy now.
Such a soft southerner. Look, we're playing the Northerners. Huddersfield Town. They're having a good season under their Spanish manager, Carlos Corberan. This is his second season in charge of the Terriers. Last season, his side finished in 20th on 49 points. But the Terriers this season, they've gone 17 league games unbeaten since their last defeat at home to Middlesbrough in November. But that stopped thanks to Benica for me. So yeah, 2-0 at the Den, and that run came to an end, and they're currently third in the table on 63 points. Here is said table. Like I said, it's almost a promotion 6-pointer. We are 3 games ahead, but we've got 3 games in hand. Even if they win, their goal difference means they won't climb above us, of course, but the gap will be narrowed, and it just puts a bit more pressure on us ahead of an April schedule of fixtures that's not particularly pretty. So what's their home form like this season? Well, they've won 10, drawn 5 and lost 3. Tom, I always like to ask you this. Can you remember the last time we played at their ground and what the score was.
So that would have been COVID.
Yes, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been.
I'm pretty sure we won there. I can't remember much else. I genuinely can't. I'm normally all right at this, aren't I? I'm not looking at the screen.
No, it's all right.
No, as I say, I know that the last time you went there, we got battered in the Premier League.
In the Premier League.
Was that Wagner?
Yes, I think it was Wagner, yeah.
And last time I went there was when we won the league.
Yeah.
And we battered them. We won last season. We definitely won.
Yeah.
2-0, 2-1, something like that.
2-1.
2-1.
Yeah, it was 2-1. We were 2-0 up at half time. Goals from Phil Bill and Dom Solanke, and then Jonathan Hogg. He played for Watford, right?
Yeah, he did. Defensive midfield, a bit of a,
He scored a consolation for the Cherries as well. In our away games at Huddersfield, we've won 8, drawn 10, lost 8. But our last match against them at home, that was alright, wasn't it? Shall we?
Oh, that's my birthday.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Shall we relive it?
Yeah.
The power of David Brooks, even when he's not here. Dom Solanke failed in the box, and there's only one person to take it. Look at this bad boy. Dom, Dom, dee, Dom, Dom Solanke. Come on. Oh! Yeah! Come on! Lloyd Kelly! Come on! Absolutely love that! Flags been waved a lot. Great day, that. Great day. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, really good day. Like I say, it was. And I remember at the time thinking, I'm surprised Huddersfield are doing as they're doing. It's like kind of the reverse of we always say about Preston always beat us and must think how Bournemouth up there. I thought it with Huddersfield because I thought it was really comfortable that day, and maybe that was credit to us on the day. But it was a comprehensive win, wasn't it? Really good one. So. Yeah, they've kicked on since then, haven't they? And they remind me of Reading from last season. Just the surprise package, mate. I think I predicted them to go down. Yeah. I genuinely think I did. And I predicted Reading to go down last year. So there's always that surprise package. And early the season, I thought, Coventry, but Huddersfield have done it, and fair play to them.
And they spent barely any money as well, which is really good.
I saw some sort of stat the other day when there was a game on telly, I think Fulham were on, and their most used 11 was something like just over 70 million. Ours was like 75 plus million. Theirs was 1 million. They remind me, I was speaking to Steve Hensman about this, they remind me of us in 14-15. 4-4-2, go for teams, try and outscore them, play good offensive football, good to watch, and it's that no fear. We're not expected to be here, let's have a crack while we're here. And I always respect that. And they're doing really well, mate. They're a team we're going to have to pay some respect to. They're a good football team. Yeah,
in all competitions against Huddersfield, Bournemouth have won 19, drawn 19, lost 18. So let's hope it's not 19-19-19 after Saturday's game. In terms of team news, they've got injuries to Ryan Schofield, Rolando Aarons and also Alex Vallejo as well. Huddersfield Town player to watch, there's probably a few. I'm going to talk about Danny Ward. He's in fine form for them this season. He scored 13 goals. Also in midfield, Sorba Thomas as well, scored 3 goals, leads with 10 assists. Lewis O'Brien is another player to watch. They have got some talented players, haven't they?
They have, and Danny Ward, as you alluded to there, has been on fire for him. I've got a feeling he's been there for ages, unless he's come back. Because there was you remember that Huddersfield game where we lost to him on penalties in the playoffs?
Oh, Steve Lovell and
Danny
Ings header.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm sure they had a player called Danny Ward scored.
Yeah.
And let me know, Huddersfield fans or Bournemouth fans or any football fans who know, because without looking, I'm pretty sure he was the same one that scored in that game.
Really?
So maybe he's kind of come back. I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah, I genuinely haven't looked at this, so I could be completely wrong. But
Did Adam Smith play for us in that game?
yeah, I think he did. Yeah, he did. He was on loan, wasn't he? But yeah, Danny Ward, I'm sure it's the same one. Kind of can play off the left, plays more up through the middle now. I don't know what the situation is with Koroma, because we were obviously linked with him. Wanted to get him just for Josh Koroma.
Yeah, I was thinking of that exact same thing.
And he looked brilliant when I've seen him on the telly in the game. I thought he was superb. But I saw in the last game he's not listed as being injured, but he's not getting on the team, so I don't really know what the situation is there. So let us know if you know. But we know he'd be a threat if he's involved. And yeah, like you say, Ward been very good. And Lewis O'Brien is one that everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
Probably goes under the radar because he's not scoring loads of goals like Danny Ward is, but he's someone that's been linked. If they certainly don't go up, they'll struggle to keep hold of him. I think we've had slight links, but a few even bigger clubs have as well. I think he's one to watch. So yeah, they've got some good players, mate.
Good players. The man in charge for Saturday's game is Simon Hooper. We had him in charge of the home game against Blackburn Rovers in December, which didn't end particularly well for us. So hopefully we'll turn the tables on that very stat. Right, we all go to football to chill out, relax, and maybe have a beer or a J2O. So let's do pubs and predictions. Right then, make sure you get your predictions in the comments below. Let us know what you think the score's going to be, and also give us the scorers as well whilst you're at it. Very shortly, I'll come to Tom, who's going to concoct his prediction. And you know what? I was just chatting to Sam at the bar here at the Pear at Parley, and you know, quite often the nearer it gets to kick off, I get more optimistic, but I'm still feeling pretty pessimistic about this one. So I'll let you know what I think very, very shortly, and I'll be intrigued to see what Tom's got to say. I mean, I'm sure we've all got head and heart predictions that are very different. So it'd be interesting to see what you've got to say as well. Pop them in the comments. Right, pubs. You go into the game. Amazing if you are. It's £10 a ticket. If you did pay full price, you should have seen a refund back in your account like we did. If you are going to have a drink, near to the stadium is the Rope Walk on Stadium Way. There's a cinema and entertainment complex behind the North Stand, which also contains the Rope Walk Grill and Bar. You can go for a pre-match pint there. It's a mixture of home and away fans. The locals very friendly, very happy to chat about football. Pub's got a unique queuing system apparently. Have you been there before?
Yes, and that's why I know it's the one I went to.
Yeah,
because they had a unique queuing system. Like I said, it worked really well when I was there before, because they don't like what I remember from it. They're like loads of people around the bar, just all stood around the bar, and then someone might get in before you, and it's not really. It's just whoever gets lucky, isn't it? And they have kind of like a rope.
Yeah.
Rope walk, that makes sense. I've just clocked that. They have like a rope there, and you have to wait back, and then you almost go, right now you can come to the bar, and they kind of.
What is it? Almost like your airport security check-in.
A little bit, yeah.
A
little bit.
In.
But I remember thinking, oh, what's this? If I heard about it, I think I'm not sure what it is. But it worked really well when I was there before.
Okay, well, that's probably where we're going to be, I suppose. I mean, there are other places as
few
well,
options, yeah.
including the Gas Club on Gasworks Street. The club does charge a £2 entry fee. You can see where it is on the map. Both the drinks and food were reasonably priced there. You can also park in their car park at the cost of £5. Just note though that after the game, the club does revert to be a home fans only bar. If you get the train in, there are a couple of good pubs actually inside the railway station, including the King's Head. It features in the camera Good Beer Guide. It's a real ale pub situated like I say, within the station. It's formerly a Victorian waiting room. Love a bit of that. No live sport there though. So if you wanted to catch the lunchtime game, whatever it is, no dice. The Head of Steam as well, that's in St George's Square, also features in the Good Beer Guide as well. You've got the Cherry Tree, and you know, yeah, we could go there, but that's in John William
Sounds
Street.
good though, doesn't it?
But probably going to give that a miss. The Parish, 28 Kirkgate in Huddersfield as well. And also another popular one is also the Boy and Barrel as well. And that's 11 to 15 Beast Market as well. If you're looking for a postcode for that, that's HD11QF. And that is a smallish pub on the corner. You can stand outside with a pint, but that's another place to get a beer. But like I say, probably going to be going to the Rope Walk. Right, predictions. No, actually I want to come to you first.
I'm going to split it, like you said, between head and
go
heart.
on.
I think I've got to.
Well, Heart's going to win, right?
Of course. So my head says they might beat us 3-0. The way we're playing, the way I see them attacking, I wonder we won't be ready for it. Having said that,
do we need that? Perhaps we just need a bollocking from some team just to actually make Scott Parker realise the severity of how things are.
The thing is, before I go into I look at the game in two ways. On one hand, I think everyone keeps talking about, we've got hard games coming up. Well, we just played all the easy games and barely won a bloody football match. I think it suits us, teams coming on to us and us being able to counter. I'll vary that by saying that equally, I feel like Scott Parker will go there and think, I just need a point.
Yeah.
I just want a point. All these games, Huddersfield away, Sheffield away, he'll be thinking, point's good.
Yeah.
And that worries me because of what we spoke about earlier in the video. But Hart says they'll go for us, they'll nick a goal, and then they'll get a bit nervy, and we'll come back and be Blackpool-esque, and we'll win 2-1. As a plane goes over our heads, as usual.
In formation. Oh my God! Sorry, there was 3 of them in formation. They're not like the red arrows, but they were like. Oh no, that's a bird. There were 3. Hang on, where's my flight radar at?
God, it's nearly as boring as Parker.
I need to find out what they were, mate.
No, of course you do.
Go on, carry on.
I'll carry on while he's
looking.
I think we're gonna. I don't think we. No, my heart says you always follow your heart. Always follow your heart. Look at your head a little bit, but you always follow your heart. And I'm going to say we're going to nick it 2-1. Dom Solanke. And I keep saying I feel like Nat Phillips' header, just a big fucking head from the back stick. And hang on.
They were Navy Hawk, Royal Air Force.
Oh, that's interesting.
They look like that, but they were in formation, like 3 of them. Yeah, look like that. Yeah. Sorry. What were you saying? I wasn't listening.
It's like Parker ball. No, I think we're going to nick it 2-1. And go with my heart.
Okay.
Dom Solanke to level, and then a big Nat Phillips header for absolute limbs at the end.
I'm going to say 1-1 for this one.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I think it's going to be 1-1. And like I say, I would take a point.
I'd take a thrilling 2-2. Do you know what I mean? Like if we went toe to toe with them and it was really end to end, and we tried to play the right way and we got out there with a point, I'll go fair play. If we sit back and we grind out a 0-0, I'll be less. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they know that you say about 6-pointer, they need to win.
Yeah, they do need to win.
We just need to draw.
Yeah, they'll leave gaps.
We avoid, in my opinion, we avoid defeat, and we've got a foot in the door.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Okay, let's go through our chosen 11 then. Lovely bit, J2O. Right, chosen 11 time then, and it appears over that side.
Does it?
So 1, 2, 3. There it is. I hope I got that right.
You better.
Right, we're going to see changes. Talk me through the side then, mate. Talk me through what's going to happen.
Well, Nyland's left. So
yeah.
No, I actually thought he played all right.
What? He did all right.
Best performance I've seen at a Bournemouth crowd from him, but no, he was all right.
I mean, but just as a side issue, knowing how poor his footwork was when he was with us, why didn't we press him more than we did?
Because we don't do that anymore. Travers and goal.
Yeah.
No, just get out of the way. All right, there's going to be changes in the back 4.
Yeah.
There's only going to be one, in my opinion.
Yes.
Smithy's coming back.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Smithy will come back in. I think he'll look at it and say Stacey's played a few games lately. He's been okay, but he hasn't been great. And I've said it before, when Smith's fit, he normally plays. So I think Smith will come back in at right back. I know people have mentioned, we spoke about it earlier, about Lloyd Kelly, but he'll play with Nat Phillips at centre half. And Zamora will definitely play at left back. Yeah. Leif Davis injured anyway. So that'll be about 4, so Smith in for Stacey.
I liked the job that Jeff Lerma was doing on, since he's been back. I think he's been really good because he can join Lewis Cook when we're out of possession, but then when we're in possession, he can push forward. And look, it shows that by the goal that we scored, and he was pivotal in that. So I think he plays that job better than Lewis Cook does, and I don't know why Scott Parker decided that was Lewis Cook's position.
Goal scoring midfielder, he called him.
Goal scoring midfielder.
To his career.
I know Jeff Lerma doesn't score that many as well, but direct assists like that, absolutely phenomenal. So I've got a feeling 2 out of the 3 midfielders probably already been worked out, and then it's just depending on who fills the other spot.
I think, as you say, Lewis Cook will sit deepest, Jefferson Lerma, and I think Phil Billen will start.
Yeah,
I think
you're
Todd
right.
Cantwell will drop to the bench. Whether I agree with that, I'm not sure, but Billings had a bit of a break with a 2-game suspension against his old club. He might have a point to prove. I'll be interested to know if there's any Huddersfield fans watching what his reception you anticipated being, because I know he was good for the club, but then at the end, I think Huddersfield fans felt like he threw in the towel a little bit. Maybe a bit Josh King-esque for us.
I think, obviously when Phil Bill joined us, he started really well, and then he looked pedestrian, lethargic. You can check all the old podcasts with Jeff Hayward going mad about him, not in a good way. I think that, and there was always that conversation, like there was Aaron Moy, who was at Huddersfield, and Phil Bill, and it felt like we'd signed the wrong one. Then Phil Bill came good again, and then he's always a player that he's probably had more highs than lows, but every so often he does have lows. And I think it sounds like he ended his Huddersfield career with a lot of Huddersfield fans criticising him, just as we do when he's having his poor run of form.
He's certainly not the type of player that I'd want in a relegation scrap, as proved when we went down.
Okay, yeah.
But when you're going for the title, because he's a little bit luxury. But if you're up the other end of the table, which fortunately we are, then he's got a bit of quality. He's got quality. He's a good footballer. But yeah, you wouldn't want him in the trenches with you, I don't think. He's just like that sort of player. But yeah, he's another one. As I said with Adam Smith, normally if they're available, they start. So I think he's going to leave Todd Cantwell out, and I think he's going to play Billing ahead of the other two. Lerma and Lewis Cook as the three in the midfield.
So could Todd Cantwell not play out wide?
Could. He won't, but he could.
No.
I don't think he will.
Is that because the combination of Zamora and Anthony's too good not to play?
I just think that maybe in a more of a 4-4-2 type thing, I'd see him off the left. I think with a front three, I wonder if Scott will be looking a little bit more. He ain't got the pace,
and he's got this natural way of coming deep a lot.
Yeah,
very deep.
I just think he'll use that, and he's spoken quite evidently, in my opinion, Scott, on fatigue, and Cantwell keeps playing, and he took him off at half time, and maybe that was something to do with it. I feel like it's going to be very rare now that Lerma's back that we'll see both of them in terms of Billing and Cantwell. So I think this is going to be one who's going to leave him out and bring him on if needed. So yeah, I'm going to go with Cantwell missing out this one.
All right, right hand side,
Ryan Christie. I thought he was good. I think he's been good since he come back.
I think just his delivery needs to be
final
improved.
ball sometimes. We say that with shooting as well, don't we? He doesn't score enough goals for the positions he gets, and I know he got one recently for us, but the quality he's got, he should be in double figures in the Championship, but he just hasn't quite. I know Celtic fans said the same. He just hasn't quite got that finished. He's not the finished article yet, but I love Ryan Christian. I think he gives us a lot, so he'll definitely be on that right for me.
And Jamal Lowe, who's got an excellent goal record up front, right?
I'm going to go with Dom. No, I think Jamal Lowe is a player that I'm always happy to see come on the pitch, but I think if you were to play, it's more likely to be off the left-hand side. I think Dom will definitely obviously play through the middle. But
I'd be really interested, but also not interested. I don't want it to happen whatsoever, but I'd be really interested to know what would happen if Dom had to come off. Would it be literally a case of whacking Lowe up there?
Hopefully
that
we never have to talk about that. But I think with Kiefer Moore injured, then definitely it would be. I don't think we've really got any other option but to put Lowe up there. So yeah, and I think he's been a good asset to us, and he cost us nothing in the modern game really. The amount of money that's splashed around now, he didn't cost us a lot, and he's returned quite a few goals off very little opportunity. But yeah, Dom be up front, and left hand side is always one that you can make a case for. You just mentioned there that Cantwell could play there, but he started. You've got Dembele, you've got Lowe, but I think he'll go Anthony.
Yeah,
I think he'll remain with Anthony. Especially, he normally plays Anthony away from home as well because of the work he does backwards. But I think this type of game he'll definitely use him. So I'm going for 2 changes, all in all, then, which is going to be Smith and Billing back in, and Stacey and Cantwell out.
We have been so lucky with Dom, haven't we, in terms of his lack of injury?
Because this is going to be.
Yeah, I know. But we have, and arguably, without him, we wouldn't be anywhere near.
You've only got to look at, because obviously Mitrovic aside, you then go to Solanke and Brereton Diaz and look at Blackburn. Since Brereton Diaz got injured, they're not the same team, and we would not be the same team without Dom. I
bloody love Dom. His work rate, and he does work hard, but there are just sometimes where he's just so isolated, and as long as the wide players are getting up to support him. And also Phil Bill as well. I mean, that 5, that's what we need. And
I hope that with Lerma and Lewis Cook in there, it will allow Billing to get a lot closer to Dom, because it should do.
Yeah.
And when Billing gets a lot closer to Dom, then Billing can be really effective. But yeah, as you say, without Dom, League Cup without Dom, we went out in the first round 6-0. And then in the FA Cup, we lost to Boreham Wood, so that says all it needs to without Dom Solanke. I think without Dom Solanke, we just beat, was that MK Dons in Yeovil?
Yeah. Brilliant, brilliant, lovely stuff. Well, look, there is your team. And that is the preview. Tom,
Yeah.
looking forward to a trip to Huddersfield. Their fans are going to be loud. We need to be up for it as fans as well, don't we?
Yeah, and me and you have spoken this off air, haven't we? That Huddersfield's one of the best in terms of home fans that I've heard in a long time. Actually, they're up there. They really are. They really get the place rocking. So, yeah, we have to try and quiet them a little bit if we can. I think it's got all the ingredients to be a good football match because they will have a go. And all the teams we said about ourselves, but all the teams we played recently are teams near the bottom or bottom half that have sat a little bit deeper. They won't do that. They'll have a go at us, but they should do anyway because if you have a go at us, that's the best form of beating us, in my opinion. So I think it could be a good football match. Nice little short trip up the road, probably about 4.5 hours. We've got a lot of long ones coming up, but I'm looking forward to it anyway. I always like going to Huddersfield. Really nice stadium, good home fans. Let's go nick 3 points, get home.
Let's do it.
Come on.
There's a subscribe button. Make sure you do it. Make sure you hit the like as well.
Oh, I thought we were coming off.
Oh, yeah, we will.
I was doing the match today because I thought you were going to end it then.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
I'm so rubbish.